Imagine this. You're standing in a world where every light above you, every car that stops at a red signal, every telephone that rings carries the fingerprints of someone history never wanted you to see. Because before the headlines, before the glory, and before the fame, there were the forgotten ones. Inventors who dreamed in silence, worked in shadows, and built the foundation of a world that denied them recognition. Their names weren't printed in textbooks. Their faces never appeared in museums. Yet, their inventions built our cities, lit our homes, and shaped the rhythm of our modern lives. This is the hidden legacy, Black inventors who changed the world. And in this documentary, we uncover the forgotten blueprints. In 1848, a young man named Lewis Latimer was born in Massachusetts, the son of escaped slaves. His father had once fled the whip, and now, years later, his son held a pen and compass, drawing lines that would change human history. Latimer was a draftsman, an inventor, and an engineer at a time when the color of his skin was supposed to keep him sweeping floors, not designing the future. When Thomas Edison became famous for the light bulb, few knew that it was Latimer's innovation, the carbon filament, that made that bulb last long enough to be practical. Without Latimer, light bulbs would burn out in minutes. Without Latimer, cities would stay in darkness. Yet, when the newspapers shouted, "Edison brings light to the world," Lewis Latimer's name was buried in the footnotes. But Latimer didn't stop there. He worked on early telephone patents for Alexander Graham Bell, improved sanitation systems, and helped draft the plans that would light entire cities. And still, history forgot him. In Cleveland, another man stared out at chaos. Garrett Morgan. He was a simple repairman. But simplicity can see what genius overlooks. Every day, Morgan watched accidents at intersections. Horses colliding, cars crashing, people dying. He thought, what if we could make the streets obey a rhythm? In 1923, he built the world's first three-position traffic light. Red for stop, green for go, and a pause for safety. That idea now saves lives every second of every day, in every corner of the planet. But when Morgan tried to sell it, investors refused to believe that a black man could create such brilliance. He had to hire a white actor to pretend to be him, just to be heard. History celebrated the light, but forgot the hands that built it. And in another corner of America, a woman was rewriting what power looked like. Her name was Madam C.J. Walker. Born in 1867, the daughter of former slaves, she worked as a laundress, earning barely $1 a day. But she saw something bigger, a way to help women like her stand tall. She created her own line of hair care products, taught women how to sell them, and built a national network that turned poverty into prosperity. By the time she died, Madam C.J. Walker had become the first self-made female millionaire in America. She didn't just create a business. She created an empire of confidence in a world that told black women they were invisible. But beyond the success stories were the ones lost forever. The unnamed black engineers who worked in secret, whose patents were taken by white businessmen. The scientists who couldn't file under their own names. The artists whose blueprints were copied, stolen, and sold. They built our bridges, our machines, our communication systems. Yet we only see their ghosts in the margins of old documents. The truth is, innovation has no color, but history does. For centuries, it was written by the victors and edited by those who want to be seen as saviors of progress. But the real architects of change were forgotten ones who dared to imagine freedom through invention. And even when denied education, opportunity, and recognition, they built anyway. They invented anyway. They dreamed anyway. Because the human spirit cannot be erased. And now, more than ever, we must remember them. Not as shadows of famous men, but as the light itself. From the blueprint to the bulb, from the brush to the boardroom, their legacy is alive. And as we uncover their stories, we reclaim a piece of history that belongs to all of us. When you flip a light switch, you're touching a story. When you cross the street, when you start your car, when you open your phone, you're using the legacy of black inventors who built a world that never wanted to see them rise. But this episode isn't just about their struggle. It's about the world they built brick by brick, invention by invention, even as the system tried to erase them. Let's travel to the early 20th century, the dawn of modern America. The air is thick with smoke and steel. Machines roar. Cities climb skyward. And in the shadows of these factories, brilliance was quietly taking shape. His name was Granville Woods, the man they called the Black Edison. But in truth, Edison should have been called the White Woods. Granville Woods held more than 60 patents, a record-breaking number for any black inventor of his time. He created the induction telegraph, a system that allowed moving trains to communicate, preventing countless collisions and saving thousands of lives. Before radio, before Wi-Fi, Granville Woods connected the world through invisible waves. But white corporations wanted more than his inventions. They wanted his name. Thomas Edison tried to claim Woods' patents as his own, taking him to court. But Woods fought back and won not once, but twice. In a time when a black man couldn't even vote, Granville Woods stood before the law and said, "You can take my color, but not my mind." Then came Dr. Charles Drew, the man who captured life itself in a bottle. During World War II, Drew developed the first modern blood bank, discovering that plasma could be stored for long periods and transfused safely, saving thousands of soldiers on the battlefield. But when he tried to donate his own blood, he was told Negro blood could not be mixed with white. His genius saved nations, yet racism still drew a line between veins. Even after his tragic death, his method of preserving blood became the global standard, a quiet miracle that still saves lives every day. He didn't just invent a process. He proved that humanity itself has no color. It was a blazing summer day when Frederick McKinley Jones decided that food shouldn't spoil because of heat. He invented refrigerated trucks, a technology that transformed global trade and saved millions from starvation. From war zones to hospitals, Jones's refrigeration systems became lifelines. His work helped preserve vaccines, transport medicine, and make food security possible worldwide. Yet, when he applied for jobs early in life, companies laughed. They said, "We don't hire colored engineers." So he built his own company and froze that prejudice in its tracks. There were others, hundreds more, black mechanics, scientists, seamstresses, architects, building the bones of modern industry. Elijah McCoy, whose name inspired the phrase "the real McCoy." He invented a self-lubricating system that kept train engines running smoothly. When imitators tried to copy his designs, engineers demanded only the real McCoy. Sarah Boone, a black woman who revolutionized the ironing board, making clothes fit better, look better, and empowering women who work to maintain dignity through presentation. And Lonnie Johnson, a NASA engineer whose invention didn't save lives, but brought joy to millions. The Super Soaker, a symbol of creativity, born from an engineer's failed heat pump test. Every drop of water, every spark of current, every hum of an engine whispers a truth. They built this world too. Today, their names echo louder, not because history gave them a spotlight, but because truth always finds its way through the cracks. Their inventions light our streets, save our lives, feed our nations, and fill our homes with comfort. But their real invention was hope. Hope that brilliance can rise from oppression. Hope that creation outlives hatred. Hope that one voice, one idea, one dream can build a world for all. This was a hidden legacy. Black inventors who changed the world. A story of minds too bright to be buried, and hearts too strong to be silenced. If you believe these stories must continue to be told, like, share, and subscribe to DS Media Chronicles. Join us as we uncover more forgotten architects of history, the men and women who turned pain into progress and shadows into light.